Terrifier 2 is doing amazing at the box office, as well as making fans throw up. Let's talk a little bit about it.
Well, sometimes that is better.
Hey everybody, what's up? Killjoy Jake here, and instead of having friends, I have horror movies. Today we're talking a little bit about Terrifier 2, giving you a little bit of an update on the box office performance of this movie, as well as how it's making people throw up in the theaters. I also want to point out another movie coming from the same Terrifier 2 people called Stream that I backed on Indiegogo a little while ago. I also have some rumors that I want to talk a little bit about that may just tickle your pickle. Before we get into all of that, of course, if you guys can like this video and subscribe, I would greatly appreciate that. So first I want to talk about Stream, because this is a movie I'm really pumped for and I cannot wait for this one to come out. Like I said in the intro, this is yet another movie coming from the people behind Terrifier and Terrifier 2. It's coming from producer Michael Levy, who is directing this film, and it's going to have an amazing cast. The plot synopsis of Stream reads, when Roy, who is played by Charles Edwin Powell, and Elaine, played by Danielle Harris, realize their family is drifting apart, they decide that something needs to be done. Roy forces his work to take a back seat, and they seize the opportunity to recreate a vacation from their past. A peaceful stay in a quaint hotel is just what they need. However, that is not what is in store for them. With 4 deranged murderers patrolling the seemingly mundane halls, the odds are definitely not in the Keenan's family favor. Roy must fight for his life and those of his family as their simple weekend getaway truly turns into a vacation to die for. The movie is going to feature legendary horror actors including Tony Todd, Jeffrey Combs, Danielle Harris, Tim Reed, Dee Wallace, David Howard Thornton, Melissa Rose, and Dave Sheridan. And the most recent update on the Indiegogo campaign for this film is that a final cut is apparently done, and they're still gonna have a couple more pickup days to finalize the movie essentially. But I have a little bit of a rumor I'm cooking up based off of an Instagram post from director Michael Levy. On September 15th, Michael Levy shared this picture on Instagram featuring Terry Kaiser from the Friday the 13th franchise. He plays Dr. Cruz in the very underrated Friday the 13th Part 7, one of my all-time favorite entries in this franchise. So why was he hanging out with Michael Levy, Damien Leone, and multiple other people involved with Stream? Maybe it's because he's also attached to this project. I don't know. But if that amazing cast of actors and actresses doesn't have you interested, there's even more to come essentially, but it's just a rumor, just something that I'm kind of basing some theories off of. So basically what I'm saying is that if you love Terrifier 2, you're probably also going to love Stream. It's about multiple murderers, one played by Art the Clown himself, David Howard Thornton, patrolling the hallways of a hotel and killing a bunch of people. It's probably gonna be really gruesome. Damien Leone is doing the effects on this too. It's gonna be fucking badass. And gory as all hell. But talking a little bit about Terrifier 2, because a big question I keep getting is where can I watch this thing, Jake? Well, for my friends who are unfortunately not in the USA and did not get to see this thing in theaters, I can assure you that if you are in the UK, there's going to be a release of this, I believe on Blu-ray on October 24th, so our friends across the pond could see this puppy too. But if that still doesn't apply to you, you will be able to see the film on Screambox in November at some point. There's no release date as of yet, but I know it's coming in November. That's already been promised to us by some of the producers and I believe the director. But oh my god, there is so much to talk about Terrifier 2. It made over $1 million just from this past weekend, which is huge for an indie horror film like this. Not only does that pretty much solidify a Terrifier 3 at this point, but I guess it also has made a bunch of people faint and also throw up at the movie theaters. I saw a bunch of people tweeting about Terrifier 2 doing that, and I put out a little tweet myself, which thank you to everyone who retweeted that and liked that. Holy crap, that thing blew up. And also thank you to my favorite horror news network, Bloody Disgusting, for sharing my tweet in their article talking all about this. But responding to that, producer Steve Barton put out this warning sign for Terrifier 2 that reads, "This movie contains scenes of graphic violence and brutal depictions of horror. Viewers who are faint of heart, prone to lightheadedness, or have weak stomachs are advised to take extreme caution. There have already been numerous instances of fainting and vomiting in theaters. For those choosing to continue, you've been warned." This is like The Exorcist all over again, and my horror heart is just so happy. But something else that's interesting about this post is that he promises some kind of news is coming. So could that mean more theatrical releases around the world perhaps? Obviously, it was very difficult for them to get this movie in theaters considering how graphic this thing is. If you haven't seen it yet, trust me, it is one of the most disgusting things I have ever seen in the theaters. Actually, it is the most disgusting thing I've ever seen in the theaters. They would never allow anything like this in the theaters in the past. That it's truly amazing that I got to see this thing on the big screen. But hopefully you can too, and maybe that's what this this news is. I don't want to overhype anybody. I don't really know anything, but I hope that's what this announcement is. Maybe that's not what it is, but hopefully. Some kind of news is coming about Terrifier 2 though, so hopefully you all get to see it sometime soon. I cannot wait to talk about this thing with you. Without spoiling anything, I was so impressed by Terrifier 2. Like, it went above and beyond my expectations, and I truly think it's one of my favorite horror films of the year. I know in my review I said like it was maybe like number 3, but the more I think about it and the fact that it had this kind of response, it's maybe going up to number 1 at this point for me. Terrifier 2 is a massive improvement over its predecessor in almost every single facet. The story of this movie is so much more intricate than the original film and goes into some really emotional depths that I just wasn't expecting from it. That was something that really blindsided me. The gore and the crazy kills are throughout the entire long runtime of this movie. You're never bored watching this film. I mean, there's always something crazy happening on screen, and yes, there is definitely a kill that outdoes the hacksaw scene from the original film. And that's not enough to sell you on this. Sienna, played by the amazing and absolutely lovely Lauren Rivera, kills it in this and is a Ripley or Sidney Prescott level final girl in my humble opinion. This is Art the Clown's world, and we're just living in it. So make sure to check out Terrifier 2 in the theaters if you have not yet. This is a huge deal for indie horror. Like, if you're somebody that is constantly preaching about not getting enough original horror movies anymore, maybe that's because studios like to play it safe more times often than not. So if there's more indie horror like this, where, you know, there's just like no rules, you can basically do whatever you want in your film, you're gonna get more original horror flicks. Like, I haven't seen a movie like Terrifier 2 in the theaters ever in my entire life. So if we were to get more movies like that, wouldn't that be pretty awesome? I think yes. So love it or hate it, you should support Terrifier 2 so we can get more movies like this in the future from more up-and-coming directors. And also, just to reiterate this one more time, if you were a fan of Terrifier 2, I highly recommend checking out this stream movie. It looks like it's gonna be another amazing flick from essentially this same team. The cast list for this movie is just way too good for this thing to be bad. I highly recommend checking out the little video that Jason and Michael Levy posted onto the Indiegogo page where they talk a little more about it. And trust me, they explained the film probably a little better than I did. The link for that is in the description below. But what are you thinking about all these reactions to Terrifier 2? Leave me something about it in the comments below. Thank you guys so much for watching a brand new video all about the Terrifier 2 reception and this crazy stream movie that hopefully comes out sometime next year. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more horror content in the future, and hopefully some discussion on Terrifier 3, which I might make a whole video on sometime later this week. Make sure to look out for that video too. I have so many ideas about Terrifier 3, I was gonna kind of put it at the tail end of this video, but like, I kind of have to make a whole video about that too, because I have an idea of where it could go next. If you want to support this page further, you can support me on Patreon or become a channel member by clicking that join button on my page. Thank you guys so much again for watching, and as always, don't forget to kill it out there, y'all.